Hey, what's up? This is Todd Smith. I'm back with another video. In this video, I want to talk about the big synth companies in the game that have been here for decades. In my opinion, they got a little too comfortable in the market. And that's why I think brands like Behringer, who are coming in and kind of mixing things up, making these older companies rethink their process, is actually healthy for the market. Before we jump into this topic, I want to thank you for taking the time to check out this video. Without your support, your views, all that great stuff, I would not have the motivation to do this every single day, push my dreams forward, and I can't thank you enough for that motivation. Going back to the concept of these legacy companies getting really comfy, too comfy within the market. We all know that these big names like Korg, Roland, and things of that nature, they have been staples of the industry for decades. Yes, there's been some new names added to the mix, whether that be mid-range, high-range, low-range gear. Other options have entered the table, but the fact is that these big names have had a lot of control in the space for a long time. And when you're a big dog in this space for decades and decades, you start to get comfortable, you start to get a little cocky, you start to think, I can start to do what I want. I mean, that's just humanity and how things are going to evolve within markets and people who grab that power within the space. And I believe that's why Korg and Roland and other people have been found guilty for price fixing. Again, these are two synth companies that I would argue are some of my favorite. They're up there with my top tier favorite synth companies when it comes to tones and stuff I would use in the studio. But at the same time, I'm realistic about the power they have within the space. And in my opinion, they obviously got way too comfortable with overpricing, not having to be worried about being competitive with their build. And that's the reason why I've always thought Behringer is a great thing. Because even though I love Korg, even though I love Roland, even though I love these other companies and what they're doing, I could definitely see them kind of creating a stale, comfortable market. And Behringer is very much coming in and doing what a lot of these other companies would not do. Offer a long-term option of their true analog, classic synth to the public at a great price. And most times in a really good form factor. With Korg and Roland, sometimes it feels they almost use the form factor to increase the synth beyond what you would really even need to pay for it to have it usable in the studio. I think the perfect example, as I stated multiple times, as much as I love it, is the Op6. That small keyboard makes no sense with all this poly. Why not just cut off the keys, make it a module, give a cheaper version, and then if somebody wants a full-size keyboard version, have a full-size key version. Why have this mid-range $700 version, which in my opinion just tacks on extra money for a keyboard which shouldn't even be there. Again, this is just my opinion, but it goes to show that Korg doesn't have enough competition, that they have to think about their builds and pricing and what the market would want for form factor. And I'm hoping Behringer creates enough of a disturbance where Korg and Roland and companies that are a more legacy and have a more firm grip in the market start to think a little bit more about those things, because I think they just have completely abandoned them for years. Again, because they're just too comfy within their space. So that's one reason I've been so happy the last couple of years that Behringer's come in and kind of mix things up at the bottom. I'm really hoping it makes these other companies sit back and kind of redo their processes, make things a little bit more competitive in the market. That being said, the Op6 was just released, and I don't think Korg felt any pressure to actually create a best form factor value for your buck on this machine. So that really tells me that they're kind of set in their ways in certain manners no matter who enters the market. Which is cool. Companies are allowed to make their own choices and their own decisions, but consumers should have options, and the market should have a shakeup. Really healthy to have someone come in and shake it up every once in a while. Because if you have these legacy companies that just sit in the market, have control for decades, and there is no one shaking it up, in my opinion, it almost never leads to a thriving, positive situation. So what's your opinion on this, guys? Do you think some of the legacy companies that have been in the game for a long time have got a little too comfortable in their space in the market? Do you think competition, whether that be Behringer or anybody else coming into the game, is a good thing to make them possibly have to, actually keep up and work and evolve, and makes these older companies maybe have to work a little bit harder to stay relevant within their space? I mean, obviously Korg, Roland, I don't think they could ever mess up so bad to where they'd be phased out of the space. but at least have some idea of maybe they have to evolve their concepts and they can't just do whatever they want, because that is something I'd never feel is comfortable for any market. Would love to know your opinion, and as always, stay positive, stay creative, support each other in peace.